Hello, Internet. How are you? I hope you are wonderful. Let's make sure the YouTube's awake, shall we? Gonna wait for the YouTube to wake up. Hopefully it's waking up. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Everyone's here. Lucy's chilling on the couch. Guys, so a little bit of housekeeping to get started here. So there's been an audio issue as of recent. I'm sure you've noticed it. We've kind of had it here and there on the stream. I think what's happening is a cable is getting jostled loose. And so I kind of redid my situating here. Obviously, I'm no tech expert. I think that's obvious. Hopefully, in the future, I will be able to have a live producer with me. That is the goal. That is what I need. Right now, I can't afford one. So, patreon.com/Ron Flacone if you are so able. But that is my goal with this show. We're not there yet. It's still just me running the ship by myself. And so anyway, I restructured some things to try to work on the audio issue. So please, if the audio is off or sounds not right, let me know. So I'll ask you guys, how's the audio sounding right now? We sounding good? Everything coming through clear? Everything crystal like a bell? What do you think of my hair? Is it time for a trim? My fiance says so, and she gets the final word. She has, when it comes to my hair, my fiance is the super delegate, basically. I mean, other people can cast some votes, and they do that. People kind of say what they want to say on the internet. Some people are complimentary, some people are not. But nonetheless, my fiance is the super delegate. That's her thing. She gets the super delegate vote as far as when I do or don't get a haircut. So, and our superdelegate vote has made it so that I'm getting a haircut. All right, you guys are saying that it's sounding good. Hopefully, yeah. All right, we don't get a static issue, and it's crushing. All right, if the audio at any point seems off, let me know. Alert me, if you would. Good to see everybody. Guys, we're going to be talking about the new NAFTA. Spoiler alert, new NAFTA, just like the old NAFTA, pretty much. But we're going to dissect it. We're going to go screw it. We're going to go screw it. We're going to say screw it, actually. I'm spoiling stuff. But first, we're going to go here. This was shared by Dave. Dave, thank you very much for sharing this. And this is my first exposure to this. I haven't read into it yet, but it looks like kind of a funny one. So we'll go through it quick here. I got a kick out of the headline. Fridgegate trends in UK after Boris Johnson is accused of hiding in a freezer to avoid an interview. He's basically like their Sean Spicer. Maybe Sean Spicer reached out. He's like, look, man, it's all going to be okay. I hid in a bush. You hid in a freezer. I'm a big TV star now. I'm a dancer. Same thing could happen for you, Boris. You could be a dancer. I don't mean to make this about aesthetics here, but I cannot get over Boris Johnson's hair. I really he's like one of the Stooges, it's like there's Moe, Larry, Curly, and Nazi, the new guy, Boris Johnson. Did you ever see that video of Boris Johnson where he deliberately won't shake hands with black people? You can find it online. He's shaking hands with all these people. He's going through a line of people, and it comes to these two black people, and he deliberately doesn't shake their hand. It's pretty awkward. And it's not like their hands were extended and he didn't shake their hand. But I'm sure he's not racist or anything. The phrase Fridgegate began trending on Twitter in the UK on Wednesday after British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was accused of heading into a freezer to avoid a television interview. The episode came as a Good Morning Britain reporter attempted to ask questions of Johnson while he visited the local business Modern Milkman in Yorkshire. A video of the exchange shows reporter Jonathan Swain asking if Johnson would like to come on the program, which is hosted by Piers Morgan and Susanna Reid. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, we're demonetized. I'm just quoting the article, though. But this is what Johnson's aide said. So his aide says, oh, for F's sake. And then he goes and he hides in a freezer. Quick, get in the freezer. All right, so then he goes hide. Oh, wow, Morgan said. The look on his face, that minder. I've just had a reaction from one of the minders. Okay, no need to push. Thank you very much. Then Johnson bailed. Then Johnson went in. All right. Moments later, Swain, I guess that's this guy, tried again to get Johnson to speak with the show's host, noting that the program was currently airing live. BJ, we're live. Come on, Beej. Get out of the freezer. We're live. This is kind of your gig. You got to talk to us, Beej. You think they call him Beej for Boris Johnson? You know Billy Joel, the pianist who has had a difficult life. Billy Joel has, and I don't know this for sure, but he might not have been. Well, I know the stuff that hit the presses over the years. He hasn't had the best of luck with his finances, and now he does a show on Sirius XM, and where he talks about music and then he plays music. It's a fun show. I don't know if he's intoxicated when he does it, but he sounds like he is. And it's sort of interesting because he'll sort of be slurring his words, talking about this music, sort of not really having a care about what he's talking about. And then he'll be like, so anyway, it was an example that goes like this. And then he'll play something on the piano perfectly. Like he'll play it like this amazing virtuoso. Anyway, the show is called BJ the DJ. That's what it's called, BJ the DJ. And nobody told him like, you think that's a good name? Or maybe he knows. He knows. He thought it was funny anyway. Or he didn't really want the gig. And he's like, I'll only do it if I can call the show BJ the DJ. Thinking they were going to say no. And SiriusXM was like, okay, you're hired. And he's like, oh, really? Shit. All right. Anyway, maybe they call Boris Johnson Beej. And they're like, come on, Beej, get out of the freezer. We're on TV. Come on. Don't be a wanker, Beej. Come on and be on telly. And all right, so conservative sources insisted to The Guardian that Johnson was categorically not hiding, that he was instead finding a private space to prepare for a separate prearranged interview. I'm sure that's what's happening. I just need a private space. You're the prime minister. We can arrange another private space for you. No, this is good. No one's going to look here, right? This is where I do my best thinking. I like it to be a little cold. This is fine. Are you serious? You're not just trying to avoid this interviewer here? No, that's not what's going on. I am not trying to avoid this interview. This is just where I like to think. This is where I like to think. How's my hair? It's how it always is. Okay, fine. That works. I'm more of a Jeremy Corbyn guy. What can I say? I'm a Jeremy Corbyn guy. I don't follow British politics incredibly closely, admittedly. I pay attention when I can. And Gordon Dimmick always tells me, he's like, Ron, we have our problems, just so you know, because I love England a lot. I really do. I loved it over there an awful lot. I will be touring there in 2021. Not going to be going over there in 2020 because all my road stuff's going to be in the United States because it's an election year, y'all. But 2021, my next international thing will definitely be England and the surrounding area. So if you're out that way, email me now. Let me know where you want to see me. London, Manchester, Yorkshire, a freezer near you. Let me know. ronplacone.com. And drop me an email. But yeah, Gordon Dimmick always tells me, he's like, Ron, we do have problems here, just so you know. You kind of put us on a pedestal, and just so you know, we got issues. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Nowhere's perfect. I know, but I kind of like, I don't know. I'd rather feign a little bit of ignorance so I can continue to put it on the pedestal. I know the BBC's got a lot of issues, probably more than I will address. But anyway, I got to have Gordon Dimmick on this show so we can talk more about that sort of thing. But anyway, so Boris Johnson, I'm sure he totally wasn't hiding. Thank you for sharing that, Dave. That was a fun one. I enjoyed it very much. All right. So let's go to NAFTA. Let's check it. Let's see what's going on. We're going to go to CNN here first because they have a little summary. And so here's what's going on. So there's a new NAFTA out there and they're calling it the USMCA because here's the analogy I like to make. When I was a little kid, maybe not a little kid, but when I was younger, when I was like 11, 12, whatever, I played in garage bands and there would be other young preteens and whatnot that also played in garage bands. And as you would expect, most of us weren't very good. We were still learning our instruments. We weren't good at our instruments alone, let alone being in a band. We also were not all that emotionally mature yet. And being in a band requires a certain amount of emotional maturity. And so anyway, a lot of us were not very great. Eventually we were able to stumble through. My band was a punk rock band. That kind of helps. Our music was not all that complicated. And it was fun and fast, and we had a good time. It taught me a lot about hard work. It really did, because to practice, we would have to go to whichever parent's house was not sick of us, which was either my parents' basement or our drummer's garage. And whichever parent gave us permission, that was where we had to practice. Whichever one was like, okay, fine, we're going to be out for a while, so just have your dumb practice. Now, getting our equipment there, we were on our own. So we would haul drum sets and PA systems in wagons between houses. And I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, a very, very hilly place. So we would go up and down hills carrying music equipment in wagons to load it in so we could practice. And we were on foot. And it's not like this was like my next door neighbor. Like our drummer lived a couple streets down. So I guess it taught me the value of hard work. I'm sure there was probably something more constructive I could have been doing during that time, but I had a good time. But anyway, my point for bringing this up is sometimes garage bands were so bad, they would have to change their name. And NAFTA is now called the USMCA. And I'm sure there's no coincidence. Oh, they just changed the name. They just changed the name. When it's so bad, you got to change the name. That usually means it's really shitty, right? If it was popular, why just not call it NAFTA Part 2? Because it wasn't popular. And here's the deal. Well, let's go into this. So there's some people who are saying, hey, it's not the same as NAFTA. It's a little bit better. Well, is it really? Let's dive into it. Let's see what's going on. And by the way, this is happening right now. I mean, right now, there's an impeachment hearing going on. Well, simultaneously, there's bipartisan cooperation for this NAFTA deal that screws over workers. So, and let's look into it. So there's some speculation out there about what it does. Here's the 5 key differences according to CNN. We're going to go through each of these. All right, so after reaching a deal on the final version of the new NAFTA, you can call it the USMCA, because, look, guys, it's not Romney Care, it's Obamacare. It's not NAFTA, it's the USMCA. It's not an oligarchy, it's a 2-party bipartisan marketplace of ideas. Get on board. Anyway, all right, so House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, there is no question, of course, that this trade agreement is much better than NAFTA. That's what they're saying. Okay, so here are the 5 key differences. Auto manufacturing boost. The USMCA requires 75% of vehicle parts to be made in one of the 3 countries, up from the current 62.5% rule. Okay, all right. It also requires more vehicle parts be made by workers earning at least $16 an hour, which may provide a boost to manufacturing in the United States, where wages are higher than in Mexico. The International Trade Commission report found these changes would add 28,000 jobs in the industry over 6 years, which also leading to a small increase in the price of vehicles that consumers pay. Now, all right. So that percentage went up a little bit. All right, cool. I'll concede there. NAFTA still overall bad deal for workers. Still exports jobs, takes jobs away. But, this is a little better than the original NAFTA. All right. Okay. Now let's look at this one. They're saying that labor laws have been strengthened. Okay, so in this, for instance, in the first issue, $16 an hour. All right. But labor laws strengthened. Let's look into this. Manufacturing workers have long blamed NAFTA for sending jobs to Mexico, where wages are lower, and it was a priority for Democrats that the USMCA strengthen the enforcement of labor rules, creating a more level playing field for American workers. For the first time, there will be enforceable labor standards, including a process that allows for the inspections of factories and facilities that are not living up to their obligations. The deal struck by Democrats provides for an interagency committee that will monitor Mexico's labor reform implementation in compliance with labor obligations and set up benchmarks of labor to meet, blah, 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 blah. Okay, translation. These labor protections, these overall labor protections, do not apply here in the United States, where we demonize unions, where we don't pay living wages. Now, in these jobs, and again, in the first, for instance, those jobs are going to be paying $16 an hour. Okay. But overall, we still have a huge wage catastrophe in this country. This does not address any of that. Instead, this has the United States overseeing labor practices in Mexico. The United States, a country that totally flubs on labor, and they're going to oversee stuff in Mexico. Doesn't really help anyone in the United States. They're just going to oversee stuff in Mexico. And I'm sure that'll make it so much better. So those are really the strengthened labor laws do not really apply in the United States. They're saying, oh, well, maybe this will help more competitive jobs because the exploitation won't be as thick. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. Because they're just going to enforce it the same way they enforce it here, by employing right-to-work type situations, by employing letting the quote-unquote market dictate how much a worker can be exploited. Do you trust the United States to oversee labor practices in any given country? I don't. They're not doing it well here. So, and by the way, while they're simultaneously, we're going to jump over to a different article for a second here. While they're simultaneously saying that, oh, labor is strengthened in the new NAFTA, even though these quote-unquote enforcements just apply to Mexico, here's what's also going on. Check this out via The Intercept. Nancy Pelosi pushes a bill to pass USMCA, but neglects a bill with broad support to strengthen unions. So simultaneously, there's a bill called the PRO Act, which was pushed by Jay Appel and others. The PRO Act passed the House Committee on Education and Labor on September 25th on a party line vote, but 2 months later, Pelosi has still not moved to bring the bill to the House floor, nor has she given any indication that she would. Now, this is a bill that actually strengthens unions here in the United States, here in the U.S. To that, Nancy Pelosi says, no thanks. But to the supposed labor standards for Mexico that the U.S. will be enforcing because they're crushing it here, oh, that's something we should applaud and give a big pat on the back. Okay, so that second point, not much. Not much. Dairy farmers get more market access. Okay, the original NAFTA eliminated tariffs on most agricultural products traded among the free countries. Canada, okay, the USMCA will keep those tariffs at zero while further opening up the Canadian market to U.S. dairy, poultry, and eggs. We have a huge problem with factory farming on all counts, so I don't really think this is a huge point. We need to totally reinvigorate the way we go about farming in this country. We just do. We need to start relying more on local farming. We need to rely more on greenhouse gas reduction. So, yeah. Updating NAFTA for the digital era. Okay, well, NAFTA was a disaster. Who cares if it's updated for the digital era? Okay, now this is an interesting one. Congress keeps control over biologic drugs. Democrats negotiated the removal of what would have been new controversial protections for biological drugs. That's according to the article. Controversial. They argue it would have hamstrung Congress from being able to legislate on drug pricing issues. So here's what was going on here. They're saying that this is going to help make drugs cheaper. That's what they're saying. I don't think it's actually going to make a difference. Now, this clause that Republicans wanted in the bill, of course it was bad, but removing it, I don't think will do much of anything. And here's why. The provision that was removed from the trade deal, this is getting back to the article, would have required the three countries, that's Mexico, Canada, and the U.S., to provide at least 10 years of exclusivity for biologic drugs. And these are, according to the article, complex, costly to make. Now, here's the deal. So they got that removed. It would have said, hey, you get 10 years of exclusivity, which means no one can make generic, cheaper drugs, which means Big Pharma has a stronghold and can dictate the price. Okay. Currently, the U.S. provides 12 years of exclusivity, while Canada provides 8, Mexico provides 5. So in other words, the U.S. is still going to have even more exclusivity than that 10 years would have been, because we currently have 12. The United States currently has 12 years of exclusivity. Now, it's less in Canada and Mexico, but here's the deal. We usually don't get those anyway. In fact, Bernie Sanders had a bill for us to be able to get more drugs from Canada to make that an easier process, and it was stabbed in the back. Who stabbed it in the back? Cory Booker, among others. So usually we are tethered to our domestic drugs, i.e. Big Pharma. So this thing, I mean, yeah, it would have made it even worse in Canada and Mexico, sure, but removing it isn't going to change a whole lot, especially here in the United States. So this whole thing that, oh, this is going to make, when they say you, i.e. in the United States, when your politicians are telling you this is going to make your drugs more affordable, it probably is not going to make a difference whatsoever. And by the way, when we have things like, okay, so we have a process in the United States, and by we, I'm actually referring to Big Pharma, so I don't know, I shouldn't be saying we there. There's a process called evergreening. What that is that's a process where, say, a Big Pharma company makes a drug. They own the patent for however long. They have exclusivity for however many years, depending on how the patent works. What they'll do, they'll then change the drug and alter it a little bit, change the color or something like that. They'll repatent it so they can keep renewing these patents, and then it's harder and harder for generics to enter the market because they'll claim another formula, say, well, this is patented, so they can't make X, Y, or Z. And that way it's harder for generics to enter the market. And this process, by the way, totally legal in the United States. In other countries, it's outlawed. Totally legal in the United States. So even if something like this were to be in there, this 10 years, where now the United States has 2 years less, and there's 2 more years in Canada, 5 more years in Mexico, there's still, in the United States, one of the 3 countries, so many ways around this anyway. And again, it's still currently 12, 8, and 5. So they're patting themselves on the back for this, saying it's going to make a huge deal in your prescription drug costs. It probably won't. Probably won't. And also, there was a bill out there that Bernie Sanders put forth that actually Elizabeth Warren was on board with. Is she still on board with this bill? I have no idea, because this happened well over a week ago. She could have changed her mind 25 million times between now and then. But at the time, it was Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. They had a bill out there that would have allowed generics to enter the market pretty much immediately. And that bill, of course, is not moving because Big Pharma really influences our politics on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats alike. So out of all these 5 key differences that makes this NAFTA bill so much different, I think one of them has a little bit of merit. I think the auto manufacturing boost, based on this article, okay, so more of the vehicles parts will be made in one of the 3 countries. Okay, that's about it. And NAFTA overall was still a disaster. And keep in mind, this is going to be, NAFTA now has, quote, bipartisan support. So let's think about 2020 now with this bipartisan support of NAFTA. Look, I am from the Rust Belt. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I know a lot of people in that region. And there's a lot of people, and you can go ahead, you can call people deplorable, call them backwards, call them whatever you want. But in reality, something I can tell you from firsthand experience, from talking to people, from traveling the country for years, there's a lot of people out there, they remember what NAFTA did. And that's why they couldn't vote for Hillary Clinton. One of the many reasons why they couldn't vote for Hillary Clinton. And are there some people out there in every state in this country that are, just hateful, racist people and likely voted for Trump because of that? Because he was speaking their language? Sure, of course. Totally. But there's a lot of people out there, who remember what NAFTA did to their lives. And they remember thinking their lives were going to get better under Bill Clinton, and it didn't. They thought their lives were going to get better under George W. Bush. It didn't. They thought their lives were going to get better under Barack Obama, and it didn't. And trade deals kept screwing them over, kept leaving their jobs. They can't afford their medicine. They can't send their kids to college. They're stuck. And they're really tired of Washington as usual. So they took a chance on this snake oil salesman, Donald Trump. They took a chance on him. So now you're going to come to these people and say, oh, by the way, we got this bipartisan NAFTA bill, which they're not going to like that in terms of Donald Trump because they didn't like NAFTA. But now they're saying, well, Democrats are fine with it too. So why does it matter? Either I'm going to take another chance on Donald Trump, or I'm just going to stay home. And the way to win people in that situation over is not to call them names, not to tell them they're deplorable, not to call them racist. You get the idea. So now Donald Trump is going to have this bipartisan NAFTA that he's walking into the election season with. This bipartisan NAFTA. And, Pete Townsend said it best. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Meet the new NAFTA, pretty much the same as the old NAFTA. All right. So let's move on. This is from Edwin. Edwin, thank you for this. So I saw this. This concerns Pete Buttigieg, who is not for Medicare for all. We know that Pete Buttigieg is against Medicare for all. That's pretty much clear. I know people like to pretend that they're for universal health care. It's like, if you're not for some type of single payer system, you're not for universal. You're just not. You're just not. Andrew Yang is not for Medicare for all. He just isn't. And he finally admitted that. And he's like, in principle, I like it. I think everyone should have health care, but he's not for Medicare for all. Pete Buttigieg is not for Medicare for all. It's apparent. Joe Biden, not for Medicare for all. Liz Warren, it depends on the day. It depends on the day if Liz Warren is for Medicare for all. Cory Booker, they're saying Cory Booker is. But Cory Booker also stabbed Bernie Strugbill in the back. So can you trust that guy? I mean, really, the only candidates that are for actual single-payer healthcare is Bernie Sanders, the author of Medicare for All, and Tulsi Gabbard, who has another version of single-payer. I like Bernie's plan better based on everything I know so far. I like Bernie's plan better. But, single-payer is single-payer. Those are the only two who actually stand by single-payer. And then, again, Liz Warren, it depends on the week. So, 2, maybe 3, maybe. Yeah, just roll the dice, see what happens. And she can't describe it. Liz Warren can't describe Medicare for all. She can't talk about it. She says it's an abstract idea when it's actually a policy, a piece of policy that's written, and a piece of policy that says how it's going to be paid for. But anyway. All right, so here's Pete Buttigieg. He's questioned about the role in Blue Cross layoffs, where Buttigieg deflects with a dishonest attack on Medicare for all. This is from Jake Johnson over at Common Dreams. So he was asked a question about the potential role in his work as a McKinsey & Company consultant played in massive layoffs that shook Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan in 2007. South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg deflected Tuesday night by accusing Medicare for all supporters of being the real job killers and attacked progressives condemned as incredibly dishonest and depraved. So here's his quote. I don't know what happened in the time after I left. That was in 2007 when they decided to shrink in 2009. Now, what I do know is there are some voices in the Democratic primary right now who are calling for a policy that would eliminate the job of every single American working at every single insurance company in the country. This is what the Republicans were saying in 2008. When Barack Obama got elected president, Barack Obama, who, by the way, by the time he got elected, was not for single payer. The only person in the 2008 election, to my knowledge, that was actually for single payer is Dennis Kucinich. Maybe somebody else in that original group was too. I don't recall, but I know that the main front runners, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, neither of them were for single payer, because that's a big reason why in the primary I was supporting Dennis Kucinich. So when Barack Obama got elected, they used that argument that, we have about 1/6 of the American economy that works in the health insurance industry, so we can't go to something like a single payer. It will disrupt the apple cart too much. And, if you recall back then, public opinion was not at single payer yet either overall. At least I would say so. Most people wanted this sort of baby step approach to get there. A lot of people were talking about the public option. We ended up getting Mitt Romney's healthcare without a public option. We all know what happened. So Pete Buttigieg is using right-wing talking points from 2008 as a way to deflect from the question he was asked, first of all, and a way to also crap on Medicare for all. It's going to take it doesn't matter that thousands and thousands of people die without healthcare every year. This gives people jobs. This industry of death gives people jobs. Really? Really? First of all, if we do have a full single payer system, you don't think that's going to create jobs? It is. It's going to create jobs because the Affordable Care Act has also created additional jobs for people. That baby step. So everybody who's saying, well, it needs to be gradual. We had your gradual approach. Our baby step was Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, Romney Care, whatever you want to call it. That was your baby step. That was the baby step away from absolutely nothing, which was what we had first. We had the baby step. It's a different system now. So now it's time for single payer. It's time for Medicare for all. It is time. Medicare for all, full stop. You had your baby step. So whenever you see any politician, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter, argue about gradual incrementalism, we already had that. It's over. Now's the time. Now you're just BSing. Now you're just not willing to say you don't want universal health care because your donors don't want it, because Big Pharma doesn't want it, because it disrupts their apple cart. There's no in between. It doesn't matter what John Delaney tweets to his 10 followers. It doesn't matter what Pete Buttigieg says, what right-wing talking point he uses from over 10 years ago. It doesn't matter what Joe Biden says when he talks about being a lifeguard and hair on his legs in between giving Barack Obama a tongue bath and then forgetting what states he's in, because that's all Joe Biden does at this point. And then he brings John Kerry with him so they can have a true cavalcade of losers. John Kerry lost to George W. Bush. You lose to George W. Bush, and you don't just leave politics and do something else with your life. I mean, if I was John, how do you not just be like, I'm in the wrong line of work? I lost to George W. Bush. John Kerry. Now he's endorsing Joe Biden. So they can have a true loser apple cart. Maybe that's why he's endorsing Joe Biden. Maybe he's like, man, I feel so bad because I lost to George W. Bush. I need somebody else. I mean, Hillary and I don't hang out enough. I need another shame bro. I need another shame bro and Joe Biden. So when Joe Biden gets crushed by Trump, I can have someone else to say, hey, aren't we pathetic? Aren't we just bought and sold blank suits? So if you're not for single payer, you're not for getting everyone healthcare. You're just not. It doesn't matter what they say. It's full stop. We had the baby step. The baby step's over now. And here's Pete Buttigieg using right-wing talking points from over 10 years ago. Wow. Wow. Oh, that guy is something. All right, we're going to have a feel-good story now because we need it. Right? This is from Joe, my editor with the mostest. Joe sent this in because he knows that I love cats. He knows that I love cats. And check this out. I actually haven't read through this yet. I'm assuming it's a feel-good story. Hopefully there's not a twist here where it's like, actually, it didn't work out and a bunch of bad stuff happened. Then we're going through it and it's like, Ron said this was a feel-good story. And it's like, well, you know, the premise of Get Your News On with Ron. I'm seeing this for the first time. We're getting our news together. We're unpacking it as a community. So let's go to this. Hopefully there's not a curveball here. And that's why Joe sent it. We'll find out. The feral cats of this abandoned island off Newfoundland are getting rescued. All right. I don't see how that can be a not feel good story, guys. So I'm thinking this is good. All right. As the government debated, euthanize them, leave them to die. Oh, for those their first two options. Look at this. As the government debated over what to do with the colony of cats, euthanize them or leave them to die, rescuers stepped in. Why was that their first go-tos? Well, we could kill them all, or we could just leave them to die. Anyone else have any ideas? Does anybody like wasn't there somebody in that meeting going like, what's wrong with you? How about we help them? How about we save them? Like, why can't we just Why are those our only two choices? What's wrong with you? Why do you have that hood over your head? And why are you holding that hammer and sickle? What's your name again? I don't see you on the roll here for this meeting. Oh, my name is Diath. Diath is my name. Why are you dressed like that? I don't know. It's just kind of my thing. But anyway, those are my two things. So I guess death works for Newfoundland. They make some decisions there. Guys, there's some cats. We can either euthanize them or starve them to death. Is there a third option? I think that's it, right? We can do one of those two things. All right. So anyway, packs of feral cats living on a nearby abandoned island off Newfoundland have been spared uncertain taxpayer-funded death and will live to yowl another day. And no, yowl. Don't let me meow. Who says yowl? Lucy, have you ever said yow? She's not even looking. I never heard that for a cat. Have you guys heard that for a cat before? Yowl. Y-O-W-L. Anyway. All right. So Little Bay Island's a tiny island off the northeast coast of Newfoundland, was once home to 54 people. In February, the people voted unanimously to resettle the community. Guys, we're going back, and we're going to have free beer. With power, water, and ferry services ending at the end of December, most people have now left and are never coming back, but they've left behind the island's feral cats, whole colonies of them. So volunteers from Nova Scotia and Newfoundland are going to rescue them. These cats are losing their caregivers, their food source, their shelters, and they're just going to die a long-suffering death. And I can't live with that, said Linda Felix. Felix, like the cat. Isn't that cool? Who volunteers with a Halifax charity called Spay Day. So they're looking at over 1,000 kilometers of travel, including a 6-hour ferry ride from North Sydney to Newfoundland with a van full of caged cats. Sounds like a pretty cool party. Smelly party, though. Things got dark Tuesday morning when the Newfoundland and Labrador government sent a release saying it was working with a vet on its own solution. The cats would be caught, assessed, and if necessary, euthanized in a humane manner. Man, this is like all the people, like whenever someone's like government is always bad, like this is true fodder for that. So the people had a plan that we should rescue these cats and find homes for them. The government was like, wait, hear us out. We just grab them and kill them. Like, what? Really? This is what? How do we get rid of all you guys? Hold on, government idea. We find them, we kill them all. What if we do? This is why we need a revolution all around the world, everybody. All right. So suddenly the team was in a race with the government and the vet. Sonia Higgins, a Halifax-based cat rescuer, originally from Newfoundland, has been helping Felix coordinate with people on the ground in Newfoundland. She said she and Felix had told the government about their plans and got no response. Like, you don't want to kill them? We don't have time for you. If you're like a by the book libertarian, I don't mean like the kind of like new age brand or like a socialist libertarian. I mean like a libertarian, like Ron Paul libertarian. This is true. Like, this should be your favorite article of the week. You should love this freaking article. Well, look at this. Over near Nova Scotia. The government was like, we're going to kill the cats. People were like, well, we're going to save the cats. What? So terrible. Hear us out. We'll kill them all. All right. So on Tuesday evening, another release arrived saying the vet had backed out of the government and the government didn't expect to find a replacement. Guys, this vet was on board with killing everyone. Then the vet changed their mind. I don't know what happened. Maybe the vet didn't know all the details. Hey, vet, this is the government. We got to do something about a bunch of feral cats. You in? Sure, I'm in. How can I be of service? All right, you're going to kill a bunch of cats. Ooh, no, not for, why? Like, that's not, why do we have to kill them all? Isn't there another option? All right, so here's Linda Felix. Is she related to Felix the cat? We don't know, but here she is with some of those feral kittens that the government was like, we could just kill them. She's not sure how many feral cats living on Little, all right. She expects the team to be out there trapping cats this weekend. All right, so I'm glad that they decided to go get the cats. And now the government's like, well, I guess you can just try to rescue them. We thought we had a solid plan A. we thought everyone would be, oh, we can just kill them all. All right. That's, it's a lesson on why we need to elect good people to office so that we can have a government that works for the people and not against the people. And it's also a good lesson on the goodness of humankind. Hey, guys, we're going to just kill the cats. Yeah, you know what? We got a different plan. Well, we're listening because our vet backed out. If our vet was still here, we'd have to go with plan A. But no vet, we'll hear you out. And speaking of hearing out, let me hear you guys out. Let me hear what you guys are saying. Which, by the way, in an hour from now at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific, we're going to talk to Shahid Buttar. Shahid Buttar is the digital rights activist. He works for the EFF, and he's running against Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi has been fumbling an awful lot recently, so we're going to chat about that, and we're going to hear more from her opponent, Shahid Buttar. Guys, tour dates, I got them. I got tour dates. This weekend, Southern California, do not wait, December 13th, Ventura, California at the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club, and December 14th, Los Angeles, California at the Dojo of Comedy Sycamore Tavern. Graham Elwood and I are going to be premiering our 2020 sets. And at that Los Angeles show on Saturday night, you know who else is going to be there? Jimmy Dore and Steph Semorano. They're both doing sets on that show. The gang's all there Saturday night. Los Angeles, do not wait. Grab your tickets now. Romplacone.com. Romplacone.com. 2020, what dates are confirmed now? February 8th, Graham Elwood and I will be in Tucson, Arizona. February 29th, San Francisco, California. Can't wait to see you again. March 12th, Orlando, Florida. March 14th, Miami, Florida. March 13th, we're working on Tampa. Hold tight. We should have Tampa confirmed very soon. April 10th, I will be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. April 24th, Seattle, Washington. April 25th, Portland, Oregon. May, we're working on confirming some things. Hold tight. June 19th, Louisville, Kentucky. Tickets are not available yet, but that show is confirmed. June 19th, Louisville, Kentucky. Can't wait to see you again. June 20th, Nashville, Tennessee. And June 21st, we're working on Atlanta. Those shows are in the midst of being confirmed. Tickets are not available yet, but hold tight. They're coming. July 11th, Chicago, Illinois. That show is confirmed and tickets are available now. July 12th, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That show is confirmed. Tickets are available now. Romplacone.com. And there will be a quiz after all this. And East Coast, we're coming back. New York City, we'll be seeing you. Boston, we'll be seeing you. Portland, Maine, we're trying to get to you. Burlington, Vermont, we're trying to get to you. Where else do you want to see us? Romplacone.com. Email me. Tell me where you want to see us. If you are able to support this show on the sustainability end, patreon.com/Romplacone. Guys, we are approaching a new year. And one of the things I want to do for the new year, I want to start doing some mini docs. That's what I want to do. I want to start making mini documentaries around the issue of municipal broadband and around my fight for municipal broadband. That doesn't mean Get Your News On With Ron is going anywhere. It's not, but that's something I want to do in addition. I want to do more interviews. I want to do more streams. I do need some help to do that. I need to upgrade equipment. I need to get some help. I need to have an on-site producer. I need to do all those things. So I do need your help to make that a reality. So if you are interested and willing, if you want to see this movement build, patreon.com/Romplacone, even $1 a month goes a long way. And you get all kinds of exclusive content. You get a patron stream once a week. You get dialogues between myself and my cat Lucy before they're illustrated. You get stand-up clips that are not available anywhere else. I don't post a ton of stand-up clips online. I only post a couple. So you get ones that aren't available anywhere else. And you get my album for download. You can just download my entire album. And I'm going to have a new one coming out. You'll be able to download that one too. That's all for a Give What You Can level. Patreon.com/Romplacone. Please do consider it if you are able and interested. Guys, we'll be back on in about an hour, roughly an hour, with Shahid Buttar. We're going to be hearing from him, what he's up to, and his thoughts on what's going on in the world right now. So I'll see some of you then. The rest of you, I will see tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time, right here. And in the meantime, you know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.